Hey y'all, we here for another episode of Married at First Sight. I laugh every week just because it just gets crazier and crazier. You listen to these people and I mean, they're brave. I will give them that. They are brave. They took the opportunity to marry a stranger. But they on TV, y'all, marrying a stranger. So we're gonna get into episode 5. Overall, this one was just the honeymoon. Them enjoying their honeymoon, the activities and things like that, and what they're up to. So y'all know, if you watched me before, my notes are to the side. So I'm gonna look a little bit to the side to make sure I'm staying on task and get us in and out of here, because we want to know about Married at First Sight, but we don't want to be here all day, right? So Nicole and Chris, let's start with them. One, I thought Nicole's pajamas, they're cute, but they're not like I just got married pajamas. I would have loved for her to just be a little bit more fancy, just a tad bit fancy. But it was cute. They had a nice little conversation, but I love their date. They had the rum tasting and they were throwing it back. They must have been really drunk. Very, very drunk, because they were throwing them back. They were boom, 1, boom, 2. They were taking them. And then did some dancing at the end. I'm saying they had a good day. I'm sure we didn't catch it, but I'm sure they were making out or, you know, doing something crazy at the end, because what do you do after you that drunk? What do you do? It was cute just watching them do their little dances. I like some of the conversations that they had. I love that Chris let Nicole know that he has a backbone, because sometimes you have nice guys and you feel like you can walk over them, and he kind of let it be known that she wouldn't be able to talk any type of way to him, which I appreciated. I also like at their dinner, one of the things he said was he was gonna move the candles to the side so that he could see her face and see her, and I thought that was cute and nice. And then, you know, they tried to tease throughout the previews him saying that he doesn't love her, but he said he doesn't love her yet, but he could see it, and I thought that was cute. Like, you know, he could see them falling in love. And honestly, if you're watching, you could pretty much see the fact that if they continue on the path that they're on now, that they could potentially fall in love. So I thought that was cute. But this is what I wanted to save my time for Nicole and Chris. Why don't the experts really hone in on whether people want kids or not, and what family looks like for them, and how strict they are about how they feel, right? Because they had this conversation and Chris is like, yo, I want to know, like, when do you want to have kids? I want to have kids. And she's like, well, I just don't know. I never thought about myself having kids, but now I'm open to it. But I mean, if you are a woman and you want to, and something is going to, like, you have to want to have kids. And that's what I'm nervous about for them, is he's getting older, and honestly, she's getting older too. Like, a lot of times in her reasoning, I just want to hug her, because sometimes we try to, like, put our careers first and feel like kids will slow us down, which in some cases they do change our priorities in terms of work. But I think there are ways that you can still be ambitious and be a parent too. So I really hope that, you know, perhaps she talks to other busy moms or other people about that, so that she can feel more comfortable if that's what she wants in her life. But I really wish they had, like, the biggest weight for some of these marriages could be whether they wanted kids or not. Because if you don't want kids and I want kids, it's not gonna work, period, point blank. It's just not gonna work. So that was kind of how I was feeling about Nicole and Chris. Next couple, Jasmine and Airris. These baking conversations are getting on my nerves. Like, he is so judgmental. Airris is so judgmental about baking. And I wish they would go deeper into his reasoning behind his diet choices. Is it a health thing? Is he like a pig lover? In terms of like save the animals? Is he like religious, save the animals? Is he just straight up vegan? I don't know what it is. So I would love for them to include in the cut more about like why he chose his eating lifestyle and stuff like that, because he keeps saying like, you eat bacon every day, and he judging her, and I'm like, she's on vacation. If I was on vacation and food was just coming to me, I probably would have bacon every day too. So that was crazy. I did like that when they had the conversation about kind of like what went wrong in the relationships before, that he took accountability for where he was. But it kind of makes me worried a little bit, just because it's like, well, you still haven't, like, what does commitment mean to you in this case? I like that Jasmine also admitted that she's a workaholic, so that'll be interesting, because she's doing the dog breeding and teaching the cheerleading, or gymnastics or whatever. So that's gonna be interesting, especially them having opposite schedules. But on top of that, her mom has breast cancer. And that's hard emotionally, and going into a new marriage with a new person that you barely even know, and you're having to rely on them. I did appreciate that Airris said that he would support her, you know, whether it's bringing her food or something like that. So hopefully they can balance that out and figure that out with their schedules and the things that they have going on, and with the stress of her being in a new marriage, but also trying to support her mother. I'm wondering what that looks like, because you don't want to not put energy into this new experiment marriage, but you also don't want to abandon your parent. That's hard. So I'm interested to see kind of what that'll look like when she gets back when they get back to the real world and they're in their apartments and they're back to work and stuff like that. What does that look like for them? They went on the underwater, their little activity was doing the scuba diving, and I was wondering like which cameraman went under the water with them. Like, who volunteers and says, yeah, sure, I'll film underwater, because I think it looked like it was a real person, not just like a underwater drone or something like that. And they kissed underwater, and that was cute. And he was having issues with his scuba diving mouthpiece and stuff because his beard was in the way, and he's like, well, I guess I'll have to shave my beard the next time. And she's like, no, don't shave the beard, because you know how we love our beards. We love the beards. So she does love his beard, and she thought he looked cute, so I thought that was cool. And then when they had their dinner and Airris wanted some of her food, man, he ate the whole thing. And she's like, I was like, yo, this dude, he a selfish guy. This is going to be very interesting, especially because he's never lived with anybody before, and especially not lived with a significant other. He eating her food. We gonna see how this go. And then also, okay, so the big question that was talked about was how he asked, she said, do you have any questions to ask me, or is there anything you want to ask me? He asked, what is your favorite sexual position? Everybody's like, yo, really? But I'm sure, like, okay, so we get 3 minutes of an hour and a half conversation. So I'm sure there's other stuff that's happening in between. But honestly, Jasmine is a preacher's kid, and I'm pretty sure she's not trying to talk about sex on TV with her daddy watching. My daddy ain't even a preacher, and I still don't know that I would feel comfortable talking about sex on camera with my daddy watching. You know, so I think that it's not that she's like a complete prude. I think that she just doesn't want to talk about it with her daddy watching. Like, that's what I think. I think she like, dude, can we talk about this when the cameras go? Like, I think that was her look. I think her look was like, can we talk about this when the cameras are gone? Because I'm not trying to have it look like I'm a freak on camera while my daddy is watching. So I think that's what it was. We'll see, you know, like what she says over time. Like, they do interviews and stuff like that after this. I think that will be when she'll probably say something like, y'all, I'm a preacher's kid. My daddy watching. I'm not gonna be sitting here talking about what sexual positions I like. You know, my dad knows I was living with somebody, but he don't want to think about it. So that's what I think. And then I was gonna say, like, the workout set that Jasmine had, the teal one, that was cute. I like that. She looked good. She looked real good in that. So go Jasmine. Good for you. And then when he told her that he had never fell in love before, and I was just like, whew, that puts a lot of pressure on her. And hopefully she doesn't overdo it trying to make him love her. And I hope that he's open to actually trying to love her, because it's not going to work if he doesn't. It's one thing whether he falls in love before the season is over, but he has to let himself fall in love. I don't know what he's been through or what we have to break down with him, but he's going to have to let himself fall in love, period. At some point, if not her, then somebody else. Like, he's going to have to allow himself to be selfless, to be thoughtful. He's going to have to allow himself to do that. So we'll see. That's Jasmine and Airris for me. Let's see. Our next one is Dominique and McKinley. All right. So Dominique said it's her first time out the country. So it's cute. Like, for her honeymoon, she's out of the country for the first time. I think that's pretty cool, experiencing something new with a stranger husband. But the conversations that they have throughout, and even their first conversation, it gives me friend vibes and not really romantic vibes. It gives me we're holding hands because we're supposed to, or because the producer said, can y'all at least hold hands? Like, that's what it kind of gives me. Like, the producers are whispering to them, like, when y'all go to the next place, can y'all at least hold hands? Like, that's what I get the vibe for them. And I mean, she smiles all the time anyway, so you really can't tell whether she's like, or she's like, you know, a genuine smile. We don't know. And then when their activity was the boat thing, and Dominique was just like irritated with Mac, because she's like, yo, are you really scared of this? Like, come on, let's do it. Like, let's have fun. And that was not turning her on at all. That was actually like, if this was one of those games where you start with 100 points, he was like losing points just through that. And I just don't think that she's that fully attracted to him. I think she might think he's cute. I think she might think he's kind of cool, but I don't know that she's feeling like butterflies with him or anything other than like, okay, he's cool, he's my husband, he's not ugly. Like, that's really what, he's not ugly. It's pretty much what she's saying. And when they were in the pool and he was joking with her, she was just like, not really getting it. So I mean, she's trying, because she's giving him kisses and stuff like that too. She's smiling. And McKinley loves her boobs. You know that much. He definitely loves her boobs. And Dominique basically just fried him and was like, you think you're funny. But I just don't think that she's that attracted to him. I mean, that's my overall story for Dominique and McKinley. Like, she's not that attracted to him. She's not that attracted to his personality. He's not as adventurous as she is. She's a little more outdoorsy and stuff like that. And who knows if he's really like that. And remember, like, he's older. Like, she's the old soul. But I don't know if she's that old of a soul. So, we'll see. And did y'all hear the noises in the background? Like, that was... They should have reshot some of that or just left it out. Because the noises were really, really bad. Like, I guess those little crickets, or were the cicadas happening during that time? Were the cicadas in Jamaica? I don't know. But it was really, really loud. But, that was pretty much Dominique and McKinley for me. Nothing too crazy with them. And then the next thing is Kirsten, excuse me, and Shaquille. So they finally got there. They finally got to Jamaica. And I see Shaq, like he did that little hold from behind move. When they came in the room, he did that. I said, oh, okay, Shaquille, I see you. You got a little bit of sauce. I see you. So I thought that was cute. Their date was the ATV ride. And I was like, is Shaquille like a pretty boy? Like, is he a, manicure nails, like, I don't get dirty type of dude? I don't know. Like, we'll see. But it was interesting to see Kirsten very adventurous. She was like, like, let's go. Let's get it. Like, let's keep it moving and going. Meanwhile, Shaquille's a little bit more reserved. Part of it was the car accident. He's just been reserved ever since, and worried. And it was so funny, the editing when that scene was funny, because they had like this fast music while she was driving. Then they had this like slow jazzy music when he was driving the car on the ATV. So that was cute. They had a nice little activity, and then they had the conversation. And Shaquille was saying that he has butterflies and, all of that. And Kirsten was saying how he's growing on her. And she did tell him that he wasn't really all that attractive to her in the beginning because of his bald head. I was like, dang, just because of his bald head? But nevertheless. But she said he's growing on her. And then they talked about kissing, and she said she's not a good kisser. And she's not that pressed about kiss, but she loves physical touch or something. So that was interesting. And then in the after party, Shaquille said that Kirsten didn't want him to touch her when they were off camera. So, I don't know. Run that back and see how that works. Like, so is Kirsten faking for the cameras? I don't know. We'll see. We'll see kind of what, because they didn't really go deep into it, but he said it. He said on after party, he was like, yeah, but when we were away for the camera, she didn't want me to touch her. So I was kind of confused when we were having that conversation, because it's like she wants me to touch her, but she don't want me to touch her. Like, what is it? Like, what does she want? So, I don't know. We'll see kind of how this plays out and see what these people talk about in after party and other stuff over time. They went to dinner. Must have been the same night that Dominique and McKinley were out, because the crickets or whatever it was, whatever noise it was really loud and distracting. So it was kind of hard to pay attention. But Kirsten was talking about how she kind of needs emotional support. And I did like that they had a conversation about the fact that Shaq comes off, I think I said last week, a little preachy, And he was just talking about his relationship with his mentees and how he wants to have, you know, this relationship with her where he can help her. And I was like, but she's not your mentee. You are not her mentor. You are her husband. There's a difference. You don't have to support somebody in that way. In a way where it feels like you're checking on boxes. Like you want to be laid back with your spouse. You want to be able to let go. And one of the things Kirsten told him was that he doesn't need to be perfect. Just be you. Because the last thing you want to do is somebody to be trying to be perfect on here and then they're portraying something that they are not. And then when the cameras go away or time goes past, then you really can't make it work because you weren't being who you were before, who you really are. So I really like that. And then honestly, I just want to know, like, when does Shaq have fun? Like, what does he do to let go? Because they were asking, Keisha Knight Pulliam asked him something about, like, back in the day, like, who they were. Because Nicole had talked about, like, her old Nicole versus new Nicole. And so, you know, everybody's like, Gina was saying how she was partying, you know, doing stuff. And Shaquille, like, he's like, yeah, you know, at one point I wanted to be president, so I didn't do anything. I just, you know, I'm like, dude, let go, have some fun. Like, take a shot. Do something. So, I don't know. We'll see. But that's Shaquille and Kirsten. And last but not least, Gina and Clint. So if you notice, Gina and Clint had on Jamaica clothes when they were going on their trip, which is supposed to be some sort of bus ride to this area or something like that, but it ended up being longer than it really was supposed to be. But on the after party, Gina said that their clothes, like their baggage got delayed. So that's why they were wearing Jamaica clothes, because they had to shop in the gift shop for clothes. So that was a good point, something that was helpful, because I was like, dang, he already wearing Jamaica clothes? I was like, is that what people do? Okay, did you not pack anything? So that's what happened with them. And they honestly were kind of boring to watch because they were just showing them on a bus. Okay. Like, they were on the bus. And showing them. And then I was like, is somebody holding Gina's bag? Because she ain't had no purse, nothing. She was just walking around. It was just her. And I was like, did they put something in his? Did they just leave their bags on a bus? Or I don't know. That's just little things that I noticed. Little things, guys. Little things that I noticed. And when they finally got to where they were supposed to go and they were like in the water and stuff like that, Clint pretty much told her, like, I'm surprised she wasn't freaking out, because she was just chill. Even though all of their plans messed up, they were out there longer. Like, it's just been a crazy day. You know, they were just pretty chill. She was pretty chill. So I was like, okay, well, that's cool. Because some of us would have been freaking out the whole time and not want to be seen on camera. And she's been kind of chill. So that's good. And Gina says she has admiration for Clint. I'm like, okay, what does that look like? I don't know, girl. What is that? So then later on, they went to the cabana. So this is the big part with them. They went to the cabana. They're sitting near the beach. They get their drink orders and they're just chilling out. And at some point in the conversation, Gina decides to bring up that, like, the only thing they're really missing is chemistry. And I'm like, y'all seem like y'all doing pretty good, whatever. So I was kind of like, did we miss something? Was there something in the conversation that led to this? I don't know. I would love for them to do a Love is Blind and run the tape, because I just want to know what made her bring that up. And then she was just talking about how she doesn't really care for gingers and people who have ginger features and reds and, you know, stuff like that. And it's kind of like, okay, well, what does that mean? Because that's just like, if people don't like blondes, or, you know, you don't like whatever, like, what are they gonna do about it, you know? I don't know. Like, what does that look like? So he was kind of just sitting there like, is she really saying what I think she's saying? That's what his face was looking like. And he was just trying to keep talking about something positive. And it felt like she was just being negative. So I'm curious what the rest of the conversation was like. She said on the after party that they were kind of having a back and forth banter and that what she said really wasn't that bad. But sometimes you just, on Married at First Sight, I feel like you have to keep some of this stuff wrapped up just a bit. I just feel like you gotta keep it wrapped up just a little bit. And especially stuff that he can't, there's nothing he can really do about that. So yeah, I didn't get it. I didn't get why the conversation was happening when it did, what made her say it. And we see previews of him talking about her size. So that'll be interesting seeing like, well, she talked about his hair color, so can he talk about her size and talk about his preference and what he's usually attracted to? Is he saying that because he's hurt? So we'll see that, I guess, in the next episode. And on the after party also, Shaq said that he felt like it was harsh from his perspective. And Gina claims there was some positivity in that conversation that wasn't shown. So I don't know. There's always three sides of the story. His side, her side, and the truth. So I don't know. We'll see what happens with Gina and Clint. So that's pretty much the wrap up for Married at First Sight, Nashville, episode 5 recap. These couples are continuing to deepen their relationships a little bit. We don't know. I think next week is still the honeymoon. So I think we have another week of honeymoon before we go home to the apartments. I love when they go home to the apartments. So I can't wait to see what that looks like. But we'll see what next week looks like. So y'all have a great day. And I'll see y'all next week with another recap of Married at First Sight Nashville. Bye.